Disney finds that the retention rate for subscribers tanks. Doctor Who is not the great retainer. Doctor Who isn't the great sale for Disney, we find. Is that a problem? I mean, once they've got the subscription, does it matter? We looked at this in our chat, and so you will see that we have a range of views. Is that a problem that people subscribe to Disney Plus, binge watch, or only see Doctor Who season 1 and then disappear again? The retention rates seem to drop from 80% down, which was their plan, down to 30%. Now, they've got their quid, they've got their dollar. Do they care? Or does it tell us something more? That actually, when you think about it, if season 1 was lukewarm in reception, even by those who subscribed on Disney, is the problem that they may not come back with a subscription for series 2? When it was free to wear, your sense of disappointment and anticlimax was lower. Now it's the big game, and with battle of all the streamers, and when you have the competition is rife for your quid, for your dollar, isn't it a bit different if season 1 doesn't exactly hit the heights? That's the problem I think the BBC and Disney have. And the other thing for Disney is, where's the back catalogue? If you loved season 1, where do you go next? Mandalorian? I mean, what do you do? Because BBC iPlayer have all the back catalogue, but Disney don't. So basically, are they hoping that one day after the spin-off, after season 2 or maybe 3, that actually they've set the seeds with the Whoniverse, and all of a sudden they've got more content available, so thank you for your dollar, you'll stay with us now? Or is there a problem there? That's what we discuss in our Saloon Shot today. So join us. We're talking about Disney insiders and stuff like that. That they're not worried about the figures per se, but they've grabbed their audience of that age group. I'm stunned that they're happy with. Sorry, forget that they're happy. I'm stunned that the youngsters are grabbed by it. Because I can't see where. Like I said, I won't repeat, but that idea that there's a vibe and it has the right messaging. But apart from that, I can't see good stories or characters I'm interested in. I don't know. Is anyone seeing people?
I don't think that it is grabbing the kids, and I think the people that are subscribing into Disney are actually older.
Yeah, you're right.
And I suspect that's why they're not staying as well, because there wasn't much to hold you. I got 3 months for the price of 1.
Yeah.
And the minute that the 3 months was up, it basically that aligned with the church on Ruby Road after the 60th. So I kind of had the 60th and church on Ruby Road, and the minute it was over, I dropped it, and then I just picked it back up for the season later in the year, because it was another 6 months later before the season dropped.
So, I mean, if you were Disney, is it a worry if that's true that people dropped out, but they'll be back again when? Well, you hope they'll be back for season 2. You know, people. I mean,
they'd have made more money out of me by selling me the box sets and stuff.
But program makers don't seem too bothered about binge watching, for example, and that kind of bastardizes all your dramatic juices, because you've tried to kind of layer and structure a season, and people might binge watch a night. People don't seem to care for that in program making. So why are they so bothered about whether you subscribe? Then you're not retained for a while, but hopefully season 2 you'll be back again and do the same trick. I mean, yes, in a perfect world, people subscribe to your channel and suddenly find that all your content is amazing, but they've got the money, shot, and now it's kind of, I don't know, is this a big deal? Or, I mean, Disney can cope with it. I mean, does it mean it's a mismatch, Disney and Doctor Who, because the people who seem to want to watch Doctor Who don't like any of the other Disney content? I don't know. What your thoughts?
If you had what you guys have on the iView for Doctor Who on Disney Plus, I probably would have maintained the subscription just for convenience, because it was really convenient having Doctor Who fully available on Netflix up until they pulled it.
Yeah.
And I kept Stan for a long time when they took it off Netflix, and it was on Stan, which is one of our streamers.
I kept BritBox when the classic series was on.
Yes, I was about to say same here. Yeah, I love that.
I used to complain to BritBox though about.
Yeah.
I used to complain to BritBox about the quality of their it used to buffer a lot. It got better, but it took.
As far as Disney goes, I think one of the problems is that they don't have the range that other streamers do, like Prime. And I mean, Prime's not probably the best example, but Netflix in particular, they've got a broad range of things that everyone in the family can enjoy. So I will stay signed up to Netflix because there's stuff on there that I watch. There's stuff on there that my kids watch. I've got control over what the kids watch. Whereas on Disney, unless you're into Marvel, Star Wars, some documentaries, some old, like the Muppets or something, there isn't really a great deal on Disney. Plus, you've got the Disney movies, but that's it. So the range isn't there to sustain like a permanent subscription. I don't think there'd be. I've found I had a few different streaming services running, but my kids would always gravitate to a certain one, and it's the one my kids gravitate to that I tend to keep because like Disney is used by a lot of parents for Bluey. Put their kids in front of Bluey all the time. My kids are a bit older than that, and we get Bluey on other services anyway here. So, that's not going to keep me on Disney. That's for sure.
I mean, I'm just thinking, have Disney missed a trick or not been allowed a trick, which is, okay, I've liked season 1. I'm pretending I'm one of these people. I've liked season 1 and I've subscribed to Disney Plus, and now I want more. And you've got the whole back catalogue of Doctor Who. Oh, no, you don't.
Or at least the new series from 2005, you would have thought.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
Isn't
There's just not enough there to keep anyone entertained when it comes to Doctor Who.
Maybe that's where Disney and BBC need to do some serious negotiating, because I think if Disney are saying figures we're not too bothered about, but we were just bothered about the retention dropping and people dropping out. You said about 30% remained, didn't you? Said Drain, that you overheard.
Well, the guys on 42 to Doomsday, so look them up. 42 to Doomsday podcast. Yep. It's a great episode actually, because they're talking a lot more about merchandise than anything else. The Disney part was only a small part of that show, because they've got a collectible store owner on there talking about merchandise. But yeah, he said they were hoping for an 80% retention on new subscribers, when in actual fact they only got a 30%. So it's quite a low figure in comparison to what they expected.
So that leads into Disney. If that is a concern, it sounds as though it is. The BBC and Disney need to come to some arrangement that there needs to be more content available for people who have enjoyed season 1 to be able to enjoy some version of a back catalogue. Because I mean, what's the point of saying subscribe to Disney because there's 8 episodes of Doctor Who and it's not much? No. And then if you're happy with that, there's nothing else. You surely need more to keep them there. Now, that puts the BBC in a slightly stronger position regarding negotiating, but get negotiating, because, I would have thought these media, agencies do want retention, as you say. They do want to keep their figures going. They do want to slightly, advertise their content furthermore. Stephen Braddock here says, I've heard Disney Plus were happy with number of subscribers at the beginning, then it dropped off. Then subscribers went up at the end for binge watching, then the subscriber numbers fell off a cliff. And this is it, Stephen. They're dipping into those 8 episodes with 2 Dr. Light episodes, but what else?
And they were only watching Doctor Who. They weren't watching anything else. So that's a problem. They're going to, if they're interested in the subscriber numbers, then they're going to have something appealing to the subscribers other than one thing.
Does that logically mean that the BBC Disney Plus matchup isn't helping Disney, because Disney's content, as you said, is Marvel and Mandalorian? It doesn't fit the Doctor Who vibe. So basically it's a mismatch.
It's a bad deal. I think
No, I think it matches.
Oh, I don't. I think Netflix would have been a better deal. Maybe it wasn't possible for some reason.
Yeah,
I think it probably would have been much better from my perspective. I mean, I don't know too much about it, but someone like Amazon or Netflix would have been better, I would have thought.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
More range for. But I mean, Netflix probably doesn't need the boost in subscriptions, whereas Disney does, I would say.
I
Yeah.
think that's where Netflix have been able to be more brutal with negotiations with the the actual production houses, because in the beginning they used to commission a lot, but they were also pretty brutal in terms of chopping them off. Even, I mean, there were quite a few. I remember quite a few successful shows that Netflix had that they cut off at the knees at season 3 and left a lot of people upset. But they're in the prime position, like you say. We're all sticking around. I'm sticking around too on Netflix because there's more stuff that tends to come up on a regular basis that we're going to watch. So it's not just me and my Doctor Who collection.
Is there something we're not seeing here? Because if this is early days of a relationship between Disney and the BBC on Doctor Who's front, and obviously if you are happy with season 1 overall, yeah, you're stuck. There's nothing else. But they are now sowing the seeds. They're starting the Sea Devils spin-off. There's 5 episodes. And if it's successful, then maybe they'll give a go-ahead and more money to make that a bit bigger. Is this RTD and Disney saying, right, it's going to take a while, but we're going to build a whole Who-niverse, which might therefore take off, and then there'll be much more content. But in the early doors, you've got 8 episodes, and it's quite tight. But they've now got a 2-pronged attack. Doctor Who, the main show, and now we've got the Sea Devils spin-off. And he said, didn't he, in the Doctor Who magazine, he's got another secret project, and people are wondering what that is. And of course, RTD will have spin-offs in mind. And so basically, this would feed into the Disney thing, which is more content. But isn't that the trap? I'm not an expert on it, but when you had the Star Wars stuff, some of it tanked, some of it didn't work, and it was too much.
Yeah.
A spin-off only works when
I don't know if Star Wars was too much. I just don't think it worked, did it?
No.
A lot of it.
No.
Because Mandalorian was huge when it first started.
Yeah.
And, that was massive. That's what got me originally people talking about Mandalorian. I hadn't even heard of it. And people were talking about, I better go and check that out.
Andor's good.
I haven't seen Andor because I stopped my subscription before I got to that. And then you get stuff like The Acolyte, which is right.
Acolyte was unwatchable.
I got past episode 1. That was it.
Well, we've got a fan here, Randy. We will gladly plug Sirens of Audio. We do every week, but obviously, yes, I know. Can we have a plug for Sirens of Audio? Of course, and we'll be mentioning his Sylvester and Janet meetup soon. It is one of the best Doctor Who channels and podcasts. It's not flashy, just solid, really brilliant content. Yeah, of course, and that's why I asked.
It's a little bit flashy.
It's
I know.
Very flashy.
Yeah, how very dare you? But yes, we get. Of course, that's why Dwayne's on. That's why I've invited him on. He's a good podcaster. Disney have hinted. This is John Yulden. Disney have hinted that they're going to bring in annual subscriptions, so you will be locked in for a year, so you are unable to cancel when you're show.
Bullshit. Not doing that.
Well, I mean, they try and trap you in lots of ways, but surely the best way to trap people is to have great content and variety. That's the best way.
Well, everything is trying to get you in for an annual subscription these days.
Yeah.
So whatever you're doing, if you're using a streaming, service like the one we're broadcasting on now, they'll try and sign you up for a year rather than month to month and make it cheaper. So it's just what businesses are doing these days.
I'm trying to think whether you were Disney, Apple, all these, Netflix, and the BBC have to sit there and think, is the deal with Disney the best one? They want to go global. Remember, Jane Tranter and Julie Gardner made a big play of this. They want to go global. Well, is Disney the streaming service to do that?
No.
Is this the best partnership they could have to go global and do this properly? I just wonder.
It may be the company that was willing to offer the most money for the BBC.
Yeah.
I don't think practically it is. Obviously, Netflix is the one you want to be on, but like Dan said, you probably, they've got so much power now in the streaming world.
Yeah.
They can probably negotiate much lower. Whereas Disney's they're still trying to capture the market.
It's people say also that arguably it was Netflix when Doctor Who was on, New Who was on Netflix. That's what amplified the Matt Smith era in America. In other words, if it hadn't been on Netflix, it may not have gone as big as it did during that period as well. That was a common view that was held, that actually Netflix
That makes sense.
was helping it more than the other way around. But it's like, because Netflix put a lot of money into the early Star Trek Discovery and the Kurtzman Trek, remember? And then when it started to fail hard, they sort of pulled themselves out of the deal.
Yeah.
Because why spend? They're pretty brutal with their models. If it's not making money for them, they'll happily put content up, but they're not going to pay a fortune for it either.
No.
What I was thinking is, because come on, we all have this problem in our houses, don't we? Do you subscribe to Apple? Do you subscribe to Netflix? Do you subscribe to Disney Plus? There are so many out there, and there's others I could list, aren't there? People aren't subscribing to everything. So surely the BBC has to sit at certain points in their bargaining position and go, is Disney the best platform to plant Doctor Who? Because does it have reach? Because if people are just getting subscriptions for a while then leaving, and maybe with a different streaming service, we have... you've got the Doctor Who fans will subscribe, but you've then got that hinterland of all the other people who are there all the time. Surely there's a kind of master plan going, hold on, I don't know if Disney's our best fit, because surely in the end, in this law of the jungle, there are too many streaming services and they're going to be gobbled up, as the usual is the case.
Yeah.
And the BBC have to pick the right one, and maybe Disney's not.
Don't forget, ideologically, Disney's very similar as well with their approach. So that probably had some part to play with it. Yes,
it's a nice fit.
Whereas Netflix is a bit more liberal with both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. I mean, this is an Aussie detox hour. And the thing is, you've gone from ABC to having to subscribe, and all three of you, when you subscribed and paid your money and then watched the season, you'll have felt more cheated, I assume, than if you just watched it free to air on ABC and it was a bit of a duff of a season, but it was free to air.
Very much so.
Well, the other thing is, when it was on ABC, it would have been on iView, which is like your iView. It would have been on there free for 6 months after airing on the ABC for free, along with all the other New Who content that was sitting up on iView as well, because a lot of New Who was sitting up on that platform up until the Disney deal. So, but if you're that's what's really missing as well, is that, given that New Who's been going 20 years, it's ridiculous that you've got is those 8 episodes in Ruby Road and the 60th anniversary.
Yep.
If you did happen to be a new person that came across it, you may not even know that there's all this other content out there that you can access. And, it's certainly not available.
But it's so dangerous, isn't it? If you serve a bit of I'll be fair, that season 1 was lukewarm. It didn't shine. And you've paid a subscription. I mean, paying a subscription is so different to free to air, isn't it? Because free to air is you go, oh, well, I watched that season. I don't know if I'd watch the next one. You're not too bothered. It's like, whatever. But when you've paid a subscription and then you are expecting something of quality and it doesn't quite deliver, do you get the subscription the second year? If the only reason you subscribed to Disney was that Doctor Who, that's the worry for Disney, that if season 1 is, would you subscribe again if all those people went from 80% to 30% and dropped out? I mean, the worry is, what's the point? When free to air, a disappointing season, well, let's see what the next one's like. No skin in the game.
But UK viewers have always paid, haven't they?
Well, we have via the tax, yes.
Yeah.
Which is why I kicked off, and a few of the British fans kicked off, because that midnight streaming service, I knew the Aussies loved it because it was a better time for you, wasn't it?
It was.
Yep.
But because they tried to globally make a nice fit when everybody could watch it live, so to speak, I didn't think that the British taxpayers got the best deal. I mean, RTD tried to sex it up by saying, midnight and all the rest of it. No, not really. No, I think the Americans got a great deal. It's 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. whenever it was. They were watching Doctor Who live on a Saturday. Oh, well done. Isn't that what the British taxpayers used to get in the 70s and 80s? Yeah. I wasn't sure. We are still funding this blooming thing, and I didn't see where we got the extra.